Afternoon all. I'm sure many of you have heard of Howard Stern. He's basically an American radio personality, television host, author, actor and photographer. So best known for his radio show, nationally syndicated from 1986 to 2005. Gained wide recognition in the 90s and labelled as a shock jock for his outspoken and sometimes controversial style. So one of his games actually caught my interest recently. He was black. It was played at the Marshall Chess Club. I found this game at a blog, chess blog called brooklyn64.com, and the person playing white, his nickname I assume is Left Hand Sketch. Okay, and you might want to visit their blog. I'll put the blog link in the description of this video. So played at the Marshall Chess Club. It was, the actual blog is Brooklyn 64, but I think it was actually played in the Marshall Chess Club. Okay, so in New York. So d4 was played, and Howard played knight f6, and believe it or not, Howard played a great opening, the King's Indian Defence. I totally approve. So King's Indian Defence, and believe it or not, white used quite a dangerous system indeed, very trendy at the Super GM level. The bayonet attack is coming up because white now played b4. So the idea is an accelerated queenside attack. The exploitable base of the pawn chain is d6. So how did Howard react to this? He plays knight e8. Okay, he's letting it happen a little bit. Rook e1, and he plays the standard King's Indian f5, not minding knight g5 to e6, which could be potentially dangerous. Even if that pawn is vulnerable, you know, it gives white the d5 square to play with. Light squares in general. The absence of the light square bishop could spell a lot of danger for black. White goes in for this knight g5. So we see knight f6. Howard's putting more pressure on e4 here. Bishop f1. Okay, encouraging black to waste time with h6 to plot the knight maybe on e6. Howard plays f4. Then we see the move g3, undermining black's pawn chain. So h6 now has more justification to be able to support that pawn with a later g5. So we see knight e6. Okay, robbing black of the light square bishop, which is often useful as an attacking piece in the King's Indian defense positions. D takes e6, but now g5 does support the f4 pawn. Okay, bishop a3. So white's playing this very well. You know, d6 is going to be under fire. There's frontal pressure. The pawn's dangerous to try and grab with, say, queen c8 can be answered with knight d5, and that's on c7, and all sorts of problems there. So Howard plays h5, but still knight d5 is quite effective because this pawn's actually going to be loose now. White's actually threatening to take and take care. Howard plays into that. Actually, he plays c6. So he is blundering a key pawn, and part of that is king safety is arguably damaged a little. But on the other hand, it's not all bad. After knight takes, rook takes, okay, he's going to lose this pawn, but he's making some roads here to white's king here. Potentially the h and f files are dangerous for white. So white's grabbing this pawn. Okay, we see fg, hg, and now queen f8, which is very good actually. It looks very good. If rook e6, you know, there's options for white like c5 maybe, queen g5 possibly. c5 would carry with it bishop c4. That's a dangerous move. So queen f8 looks good as an option here for black to encourage white to do something about f2. White now plays rook e2. Okay. And we see a very sneaky idea now, indeed, from Howard Stern. He plays rook h6, and white now doesn't play a fantastic move. Okay, bit of a blunder. He plays queen takes g5. Can you spot why this is a blunder? If I give you 10 seconds starting from now. Okay, queen f3, threatens mate, it's a double attack. Threatens mate with queen h1 or rook h1, and also the rook is loose, so if the bishop tries to defend, he's losing the rook. But it's just losing the exchange because the queen is eyeing the knight, so it's actually an exchange loss of the exchange. So it's not over just yet, but black's got a much better position than before now. Rook f8 covers f7 as well as putting more pressure on f2 again. Rook f1, queen h5 threatening mate. Okay, queen h4 is played here. Maybe if the rook moves, then check and queen takes g3. Potentially dangerous, mind you. Queen takes f8. Maybe we should check that out in second pass. Might have been okay just to move the rook here. But queen h4 does lose a pawn, and it's fragmenting white's pawns a little bit more. So queen takes, and actually Howard doesn't immediately take the one on h4 here. That could be quite dangerous because of something like b5 on d6. Actually, he takes this one on e6. He can go back for h4 soon. So bishop c1, bishop h6. Yes, he wants to work on getting that h pawn maybe, if there's a bishop exchange, which there is now. So he's on that h pawn again. Now he's delaying, of course. He wants to keep d6 protected, and he's on f2 for the moment. King g7. Okay, and now to get to the h pawn, he starts using his king. King h6, aggressive with his king. King h5, he's going to grab that h pawn and get onto a dark square where he should be safe enough. Takes, check. So it's the exchange up. Now, raw exchange up, no compensation for white in terms of a pawn. But also, the f5 bishop is a liability tactically to d5. Can be quite loose, and behind that is the f2 pawn. King f1, rook h6. White doesn't want to exchange off rooks. Check. King e2. Now rook d8, as though d5 is being prepared. Bishop h3. King e7, trying to step away from potential checks. But the check here is not too effective at the moment, because king f6, the rook has to go back because both pieces are now attacked. Rook dh8, bishop goes back. Rook g6, check, the king goes to e7. After bishop h3, rook gh6, and actually white's had enough of this game. He actually gives it to Howard. So yeah, I think Howard played very, very aggressive chess with the king's Indian defense. Apparently, yeah, he's been coached. Last time he was on the ICC. I'm not sure he's still into chess, but last time Dan Heisman on the ICC was his coach. But he might have quit playing. He made a claim recently. He might have quit playing. His latest passion, photography. But I hope he still does play the occasional game on the ICC. Let's just check this out with an engine Kubica to see what was going on more technically. Okay, so the bayonet attack is dangerous, a very dangerous system. Okay, f5, knight g5. White's better, okay, technically. But actually, after bishop f1, what's happening here? Is bishop f1 an inaccuracy? From an engine point of view, on light depth here, it's as though bishop f1 might be an inaccuracy. f4 might not have been the best move. Maybe h6 straight away, and taking on e4. So I think that's the idea, that h6 straight away takes on e6, takes on e4. Is it easy for white to recapture here? If takes queen c8, maybe this pawn is a bit too vulnerable here without too much compensation. Maybe that's the point. So let's go back. So bishop f1 did allow h6, but no, f4 was played, which does invite undermining with g3, which is not mentioned by the engine actually. But it seems logical enough to undermine this pawn chain with g3. It's a reasonable move, surely. h6, the knight goes in, and now that pawn is quite dangerous. g5. Okay, bishop a3 looks like a reasonably good positional move. h5. Okay, white could have gone with undermining the chain more with c5 here. He goes in for knight d5, more materialistic. After c6, yes, he's clearly winning a pawn. c6, what was better? To take on g3 and knight g4, maybe, or g4. So he loses a pawn. Okay, he's clearly a pawn down. fg, okay, queen f8. So Howard was on the racks here, but rook e2, maybe not most accurate. So we see rook h6, and now queen g4 is necessary for white to maintain the advantage to keep protecting f3. So a weakness of the last move, dreaded weakness of the last move, not protecting f3. Pound stem with queen f3, and now black's better. He's going to be winning the exchange. Okay, so it's a little bit better, a pawn up, technically nearly. And okay, I think white didn't help himself. I thought white didn't help himself with queen h4. Apparently it's the best move. So let's just quickly check this out. If rook e1, check. In this position, forget queen takes g3. That would be a horrendous blunder to queen takes f8. Queen takes f8, or even queen f7. And that's winning. No, the move here would be knight rook h f6. So f2 would be in trouble. If rook e2, then queen takes g3, with both rooks pinning down that f pawn. That would be great. Black is on a3 as well as f2 here. So that's the end of that. Massive notch to black. So white was perhaps wise to play queen h4, one of the best moves. And now black's still doing well. If he had taken on h4, that's a good move as well, maybe. But taking is even better. Bishop h6, very, very good move. And yeah, white's sliding down here. He's nearly 2 pawns virtually down. King h5, very good move, getting the pawn with the king. Okay. Now, there was something here actually. Maybe taking wasn't best, because I think something's been seen here. Check, an opportunity here. The engine's seeing. Let's see this, because check, and if king f4, well then, isn't that mating or something? Nearly getting mated. King f1, it looks as though that's trouble. If black has to sack the exchange here, that doesn't look so hot. So maybe white missed a little trick there with check. A lot of harassing checks here. So actually, no, he played king f1, and now black's in the driving seat again with rook h6. Okay, check. Not so bad now. Rook d8, bishop h3. King went to e7. Check. The rook has to go back though to protect the bishop. I think black's really in the driving seat, the exchange up now, much more clearly. Okay. And he gave up here. Very sporting, giving the benefit of the doubt to black to finish off. So a game from a celebrity, Howard Stern. Quite interesting, I thought, because of the King's Indian defence especially. Okay. Hope you enjoyed that. Comments or questions on YouTube. Thanks very much.